Great.
So
okay.
All right. So
Welcome, Bruce.
morning, Tim.
Welcome,
Steve.
Morning.
Thank you.
So let's talk about current and upcoming projects, right? So we have key messages that are drafted, right? So hopefully folks have seen that. I got edits from Commissioner Johnson. So should I share them? Probably. Let me find that.
I have them at my fingertips if you want me to throw up on screen, or do you want to be able to make edits?
Well, throw them up.
Oh,
right?
we don't want to edit over during this meeting. I don't think that's going to be a very productive use of our time. We can look at it for sure, but I don't think we need to all get into editing it if that was the intent.
Okay.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, it doesn't work well when you edit a document in Community, at least for me. So.
All right. So we will leave that. What about the comms plan that I sent? You've seen that?
Yes.
I would say a good high level, just run over, it would be good, Liz.
Right. Okay.
If we could, just 2 minutes.
Thank you. All right. So let's share that. AJ, I'll do that. Okay. Hang on a second. We have a new filing system here, so it takes me a little bit of time to find stuff. Okay. Okay. Boop, boop. Here we go. All right. Now I will share my screen.
While you're doing that, Liz, let me just talk to the other two commissioners and everybody else here about the letter before we move on from that. Tim and Mark, I had sent a message to Liz and copied the chief that I think the letter content is very good. It's got all the information it needs in it. My concern is readability. There's a lot of research that shows that people don't read a big page of text. They just won't. So I have some experience in reformatting documents like that to try to make it so that people will glance at it and go, oh, this is something I want to read. So that's what I would like to work on with you all as we bring this to conclusion. So my plan is to work with that. And then we have a meeting next week, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Bring you guys maybe just some formatting changes and kind of show you what I have in mind by the next meeting next week. So that's where I'm at with the letter. If you guys have any comments or anything, please feel free.
I think that's a good idea, Steve. I felt like the most current version of letter was actually cut down quite a bit from where we started, and I think it's getting close. I like the letter.
Yeah,
but
I do too.
There's some formatting changes you want to make. That sounds good to me.
Yeah.
The other thing I guess I'll throw out there is at some point before we actually send out this letter, do we want to have the district attorney look at this?
Yeah, for sure. I would think so. Yeah.
Yep, I agree.
So, okay. Well, I will do some stuff with the formatting, and then, like I said, have something ready for you guys by the next meeting so that I don't delay. But I just want to, this is our first shot. We want to get people's attention here. So I just want to make sure we're doing everything we can to make sure as many people as possible will read it. So.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Liz.
Perfect. Okay. So, Chairman Cooley, right? Can we see your changes? Is that okay?
Oh, I haven't seen them. I haven't made them yet.
No, but when you do,
oh, of
can I
course,
see
y'all are
them?
part of the team. Yeah.
Good. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not taking this away from the team. I would just like to add some formatting. So yeah, I'll send a copy to everybody. And I of course will welcome feedback. So
awesome
great.
sauce. All right.
Thank you.
All right. So here's our communications plan. So the categories on the first column on the left are the areas where we think we can make an impact. And then across the top row are the months that we're doing this. And they include significant dates, right, for our ballot measure project. So here's a great example. Under paid communications, which is something we print and mail for all households, we have our first letter, right? Ideally, that would go out in February, but if we need
Oh, yeah.
more time, we can certainly push it to March.
I don't think we do, at least from my standpoint. Like I said, I'll be happy once I've had a chance to mess with it. But after that,
For
you know,
sure.
as soon as we can all agree, then we'll be good.
Okay. So then we also anticipate writing brief articles for coalition publications. In fact, I had an amazing call with a man named Bill Geyer. Do you know him?
Know the name. Yep.
Okay, but I'm seeing, do you have a favorable, non-favorable thought about him?
Is he the gentleman that is trying to develop the property across from Station 12?
It's more than that. So
Wow.
he
Yeah.
has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 property owners, right? Who are really interested in seeing Watcom 4 pass its lid lift. Okay.
Great.
So he just came out and said, hey, we know you're doing this. We love our fire district and have an interest in seeing this pass, right? So anyway, so the first letter, right, drafting brief articles for coalition publications, he has access to email distribution lists for farmers, for suburbanites, and for lake house owners. Right? So I think that would be a good way to share information. So we
Hey,
also,
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Liz. Can I, just real quick, I know this might be getting into the weeds a little bit. Apologize if it is, but when we're talking about sending out letters and disseminating information to our residents and customers, can you just talk a little bit about how that's actually going to be done? Because when we went through this before, we were told that, you know, letters and mailings and postcards and all these things were going to be going to all of our customers, all of the
correct.
addresses. We found out later that that did not happen. So can you just, to reassure me a little bit, and I don't know anybody else, can you talk a little bit about how, what process or systems you're going to use to make sure that stuff that we think is going to go out to everybody actually goes out to everybody?
Yes. So AJ is in charge of production for a company, right? So AJ, do you want to tackle that?
Yes.
While I move
Mhm.
faces back?
Yes, and Commissioner, I can't speak to what method was used before because I'm, unfamiliar. But my suspicion would be that perhaps the mailer used every door direct mailing, which is something that the post office offers. It's a form of bulk mail, but it's very easy, approachable, but not very precise. The mail house that we work with, when we want to get very specific within a district, there's some data work they do that takes USPS postal routes, looks at those routes and cuts them off exactly where they need to be on the boundaries. So there's several pieces of information we use to form those boundaries. KML or KMZ form of map from your fire district, a voter file for the district to help create those boundaries. Obviously, we are going to mail to every household, not just voters, but then we also want to make sure that any voters that are have a registered address outside that service area receives a piece of mail as well. So there's a second portion of that mailing that's created for voters that live outside. Could be college students, second homes, etc. But we want to make sure they're receiving information. And then the other piece is using other neighboring districts' voter files to back off. It creates like a stop on those routes as well. So those routes are identified. Some are fully saturated if they fall well within the district. They often don't, because the zip codes don't dictate routes within the postal department with the postal service, and the boundaries just don't line up with any jurisdictions usually. So we'll have some routes that are fully saturated, some that are partially, and there's some that we might not even use the method to saturate, would just be simplified and mailed directly with an address name. So we have a lot of experience doing that. It does take a little more time to get that accuracy. The postage portion is very comparable to EDDM. It's the data work and that's a couple $100 to create that list and be confident that you are mailing just households within your fire district. And I will add, bulk mail is not perfect, but we strive to be as close to perfection as possible. So taking those extra steps to back away districts that are neighboring that we don't want mail to go into is one of those extra steps to ensure that. Any questions there?
Yeah, thank you, AJ. Appreciate you explaining that detail. Jason, based on what she just sort of went over, do you find any noticeable differences between what she just explained and how we did this before?
Significant, with there being much more control and data use on this, what AJ just described versus what we used before. So I feel like we'll see much more success with getting the message out to every address. Here she's pulling data from multiple sources versus a kind of a one-stop shop, which is what was done before.
Okay, thank you.
Right, Mark, you don't have to turn off your camera. You're muted.
All right.
All right, so paid communications, we're looking for 4 letters between now and the election, right? Direct communication from the board to all households. And we talked about the brief articles for coalition publications, and it was great to talk to Bill and understand what's out there. Okay. Earned media.
Question about that.
Yes, sir.
The previous attempts at this, we were told that the board was only allowed one opportunity to communicate. Is that not correct? Or Jason, maybe you can clarify that.
I'm going to defer to Liz and her team.
So we have one piece of mail we can send specifically targeted to the levy lid lift, right? But the other communications we send can be more general.
So just sort of a state of the district
Yes, sir.
Informational opportunity.
Yep. State of Whatcom 4, right? The fact that Whatcom 4 may be considering something, inviting people to come and learn more. And then at the point we do the fourth one, it's all about the ballot measure.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, and so earned media, you can see the hits we're planning, right, over the course of the year. So any questions on that? Okay. So we will get into social media, owned media, and that's AJ, right? Knowing that Whatcom Ford doesn't really have its own Facebook following or similar.
Yes, so we're obviously going to utilize the partnership with North Whatcom to share some of this information on Facebook. As you see, every month we have a plan to share something, and that's all going to be tied to the strategic messaging, like the news release. For example, we would share a link to the District 4 web page where that release would be posted after it's sent to the media. And then we would share it on North Whatcom's Facebook page. And just a reminder that this doesn't, this is for District 4 residents, and, making sure that we're very clear that this isn't for all residents of North Whatcom. And then, as you also see, we have a plan to update the website. District 4, we would like to put up text that is specific to what is being considered, and update, make sure that what's reflected on there on the website is timely and accurate. And then also link at North Whatcom already links to District 4's website, but make sure that people who are looking for information can find that on District 4's website page. And then continue to update that page that's with any release that goes out, any letter that's mailed, and any news article that covers the issue. So we'll just continue to keep that updated, and then we have other changes as the board takes a measure under consideration and acts, then we would make any necessary updates to that language. You can see that over in, I'm guessing that's June. Sorry, I don't see the month right now. But any questions on that? Okay, thank you.
All right, so let's talk about public outreach. So here's where the rubber hits the road, right? So most projects that we do, we send out kind of generic newsletters, news releases, and it's not as personal as this project, right? So Chair Cooley, right, we talked about this before, about communicating directly with all households. And at the point Whatcom 4 is in the situation it is, right? We have to do this. So we're talking about several phases of public outreach. So the first is our original letter and having public meetings at 3 specific demographic areas, right? Grumpy farmers, suburbanites, and lake home owners, right? So those are 3 areas where we have the board come, talk to people, deal with their questions, and certainly, Chief, you would be there, but not the one delivering the message. Okay, and so we do that first. Then we have a board meeting where we invite everyone to come to the board meeting when you consider the resolution, right? The third stage is, again, meetings in the 3 specific areas to answer questions about the ballot measure. So that's what we're thinking with public outreach. And of course, we'll create the PowerPoint and supporting materials for you.
Great.
Okay,
Sounds good.
good. Okay,
Yeah.
wonderful.
Looking forward to that part. I think it's going to be really critical to getting the message out there. So, yeah.
I agree. Yeah, I think that's great. So supporting that, we have a spokesperson training scheduled in March, right, to run our board through their paces and our fire chief, right?
Yay.
Yay! And we can repeat that, and we have closer to when ballots drop. Okay?
Yep.
Yep. Okay. So that's our plan, right? So any questions, concern? Commissioner Ansel, what do you think?
Very excited that we have a plan. And when we're talking about this training and information, I'm just thinking it would, in my opinion, be helpful if at least a representative from our board, other than the chief, follows this all along, because the way we provide that service, there's a good chance that people are going to be asking us as many questions about D4 as they are asking D4. So I don't know if you put some thought into that, but I just kind of think because we've done this for 20 years, they probably don't even know that D4 is separate from D21.
That's a problem, right?
Right.
So we have to brand D4 first and let people know. And Chair Cooley, I think in the letter I sent, we talk about if you're receiving this letter, you live in Whatcom 4, right?
Right.
So I think having you there, Bruce, would be great, but the message has to come from Whatcom 4 commissioners. Can't come from the chief.
Yep.
I agree. I'm just saying that myself and or our board need to know sort of what the message is.
Of course.
So that when people call us, we can say, well, no, you're talking about District 4 and you need to contact Commissioner Cooley or whomever, and make sure that confusion, which I know there will be some, gets resolved effectively to what you would consider to be the right message.
Yes, I agree. All right, so AJ, I'm adding here under paid communications, internal communication. For D21.
Yeah, I heard what you were saying, Bruce, and you are more than welcome to be as involved as you all are willing, but we'll certainly keep you in the loop on everything that's going on here, so you can participate whenever it would be beneficial to you.
Yeah, and I think just an update at our regular board meetings, whether it's myself or the chief, we would say, hey, here's where they're at. This is a message we need to send. We need to make sure that if people are talking to us about this upcoming levy lid lift, it's not ours, it's D4's, and be able to refer them to the right people and information.
Okay, so I think we want to add an update, right, to NWFR, both board and emergency personnel.
Yeah, I mean, I can't disagree with anything that was said there and what we would be trying to accomplish. I guess where I'm seeing, I just want to make sure that, at least from my perspective, that as we go through this process, we need to make sure that our customers understand that this is a District 4 problem and this is their problem. And I'm a little hesitant to just keep saying and District 21 and District 21, because I don't know if that's really going to help clarify the problem. And if we have too much involvement from District 21, I don't think that's going to help.
And if I may, that wasn't my point or my intent. My intent was to make sure we know what you're doing so that we don't do exactly what you're saying. This, as much as I would like to pile on and say, yeah, it's just as bad here. That's, I agree.
Yeah, that'll be next.
We need
Yeah.
we need to get you going first. And so if I implied that it was going to be a Me Too message, no, it was going to be a D4 message.
Okay. Yeah.
To our
As
board.
We
long
got
as
you.
we're- Yeah, as long as we're just kind of keep that clear in everybody's head.
Yep.
No, I think that's important, and I agree with you.
Commissioner Land, just real quick, if I could. Yeah, I envision this, that, you know, Jason Vanderveen, Fire Chief, North Wacom Fire and Rescue, doesn't go on almost anything in this run up to this levy, that it's, the communication is from the commissioners of Wacom 4 to the customers of Wacom 4. It has nothing to do with North Wacom, D21, any of that stuff. This is solely about Station 12, Station 13, and your relationship with the customer.
But Chief, you still have to be at these meetings, right? You're not the primary spokesperson, but at the point you are a new chief, we have to have you there.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
No.
Because-
I absolutely, as someone to answer, you know, because there's going to be operational questions, you know, how come, well, why am I
Correct.
paying for a fire truck and an ambulance to come to my house? That's not
Correct.
something a commissioner should answer. That's something a fire chief should answer. But
Correct.
the message, the meeting is started and ended by a District 4 commissioner. You
Okay.
know, I'm the guy off to the side, you know, answering questions when need be, when asked by the D4 commissioner, so that it
Would
appears.
someone say that you would be arm candy?
Probably not, and probably not even my wife. No, I got a face for radio, so.
I thought that was funny. Okay. But I do want to thank Wacom 4 for telling us, and Commissioner Ansel, we have to make sure we update the North Wacom Fire and Rescue Board, right? About what we are planning and saying, and also all emergency personnel, right? So I've worked in personal communications here, right? We don't want to crowd them, but we want them to know what's going on. Right, AJ? So this goes in the master work plan. Okay. All right.
That messaging from the line personnel is probably very important, because
Correct.
they're likely to make the confusion between D21 service, because there really are no D4 firefighters. They're all D21 employees, and I I could imagine that these people are saying, well, you know, we're just as broke as they are, and we're going to need help in the future. But we really need to focus that message to say, right now, we're contracting with District 4, and the message is to pass their levy.
Yes.
And I've made it abundantly clear to the union that, and they know this, their members, some of their members are tied to this passage, or the successful continuation of District 4. Their members' jobs are tied to that, to this levy, so they know.
Okay.
They'll be watching
Yes.
this with extreme interest.
So is there a plan, or is it a good idea or a bad idea to not bring in other stakeholders like the employees and that union as part of this educational outreach? Because I don't see it, but I just might be missing it on the planning process here.
They're watching the recordings of these meetings. We're talking about it at labor management. If both the union leaders, if they could have been here at this meeting, they would have, but one's on shift and one's sitting in an assessment center for lieutenants this morning, so they're not able to be here. But they're keenly aware and interested, and I can't say they'll offer to. Well, I can say they'll offer to help, but they are very involved in the periphery and ready to take a step forward when needed.
Yeah,
Right.
so that's exactly what I'm wondering then. So how and when do we appropriately invite them to participate in this outreach portion of the process?
They are invited to the calls. All right. But if they choose to do some kind of private campaign mark, that's up to them, and we cannot collaborate.
Gotcha.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. And the
That's fair.
union and other folks have expressed interest in really wanting to support Whatcom 4, right? And so they can go do, right, whatever they have to do. And we do our stuff. We educate, we don't advocate. So that's the position that we have to have.
Okay.
Okay. Cool. All right. Anything else on the comms plan? Okay. So we will add the internal communications. And Chief, at the point you are communicating with North Whatcom Fire and Rescue personnel, I'm assuming that also includes Whatcom 4 personnel, right? Okay.
As far as when you say personnel, you mean commissioners or?
No, sorry, I mean firefighters.
There are no D4 firefighters. It's so when I do an all staff email, it goes to all of our paid personnel who work, some happen to work at Station 12, which is District 4, but everybody, all of our employees are North Whatcom employees.
Okay, but I still think that communication is important.
Oh yeah, no.
Right.
They will,
Okay.
every FTE will get the information.
Great. Okay.
No matter where they work, and they'll, yep.
Okay. All right. Excellent. So I'll stop sharing. We will go back to the agenda, which is AJ. How come I can't see your happy face, AJ?
She's
Oh,
there.
there you are. Sorry.
She's there.
Sorry, we have such great participation. I couldn't see her on the Brady Bunch list. Okay. So letter mailing, Chair Cooley is going to send us some edits about that. And then printing and mailing, AJ, I think we hit that. Is there anything else we want to talk about?
I just wanted to check with the chief. We have a printer and mail house in Snohomish that we worked with for many decades actually. And
don't age us. Don't age us.
Okay. But they've also worked directly for our clients. So if you'd like, I would be happy to use them and then would set up the relationship directly with you so that they would bill you directly. Or if there is someone you use already for printing and mailing, and then I would of course work with them to make sure the data is done the way we would prefer, then I can do that. But just in the interest of time, it would be great if we could just go to one.
I'll take a rudder tap from any commissioner from District 4 that wants to provide it, but based on our last experience, why don't we just go ahead and use the longstanding relationship that that Liz and her team have with the Snohomish County printer and mailing house, move forward.
Yeah, let's make it as efficient as possible. And if you have an established relationship, that makes sense to me.
We do, and we do not get kickbacks from them, right? A lot of consultants print and mail things and then charge you more for that. We don't do that. They bill you directly for costs.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna get on that right away because we want to get this out quickly, and once we have an agreed draft, we just want to have all those pieces in place.
Sounds good.
Perfect. All right. So the next item, we talked about doing public meetings. So the letter goes first, right? And it is going to cause concern. We know that. We're ready for that. So our idea, according to our plan, is to hold 3 meetings in the 3 specific areas that you have, right? So someone suggested a Dr. Eddie Hansen for the lake house people, right?
Yeah, Eddie's pretty active guy. Yeah. Who suggested that?
So I had a great conversation with Bill Geyer.
Gotcha.
Right.
Yep.
So he could be someone. There were also, like, Bill called them martini farmers. Martini farmers. No one's laughing about that, but I thought that was hysterical.
Didn't know you could farm martinis, but I'd be interested in finding out how.
You have a martini, you
Where do
have
I
a
sign
couple
up?
of goats, you have a couple of cows, right? So, but he also suggested Commissioner Ken Bell as another person who could be influential. And this could also work for the pro committee, right? When we talk about that. Let me see. Does the board have other folks so we can include the suburbanites and farmers?
Yeah, I've got a name of somebody that I've talked to that was interested in becoming part of the process.
Awesome.
I'll just send that off to you offline, and
Thanks, Mark.
but their household is off of North Shore up in Eagle Ridge as well.
Would that be considered part of the lake homes or
Yes.
Okay, all right. So Eddie Hansen or this person, right? But we still need a farmer at a Grange or a suburbanite at, I don't know, a town hall, community center, something like that, right?
Liz, just by point of clarification for the commissioners, we're not just looking at, we've been asking for citizens to participate on this committee. So that is, I believe, what Commissioner Lynn is referring to. So.
Oh, sorry. Okay. But finding 2 more locations, right? Ag and suburbia. That's what we need now and are hoping you could provide us with, even if even if one of the meetings is at the fire station, right?
Yeah, the suburban one should be at Station 12. That would be
Great.
That would make complete sense.
Okay.
Agreed. Yeah.
Okay. And then Eddie Hansen or the person that Mark's talking about can be the lake home, right?
Yeah.
And then who's our farmers, right? So I do have some names and I don't know if they're farmers or not. So can I tell you about them?
Sure.
Okay. Jason Ragsdale. Farmer? No. Okay. Dale Shank. No farmer. All right. We talked about Commissioner Bell. I think he would be great for the pro committee. Greg and Pam Hinton. I'm seeing some nods. Mark, you're nodding. enthusiastically.
Well, yeah, no, sorry, I just, they're either up in Wild Haven or off of Academy. I can't quite remember which.
There.
But yeah,
Yeah, I know where they are. They're up off of what's that? Northern Heights, I think.
Do you
not-
have
yeah.
a Grange in your fire district?
Yeah, the one on Smith Road's in our fire district, right, Chief?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's-
that would be the alternate location if you want to have a third location
Meeting,
to have a
yeah.
meeting. Yeah, it's not very far from Station 12, so
Mhm.
we could do both those meetings at Station 12. But yeah, the Grange is there. I don't know who the point of contact for that Grange is, but we could certainly find out.
Yeah, we'll track
That's
that down.
fine.
So, yeah.
Let's find that out.
Okay.
Okay.
Is the Rome Grange not in our area?
I believe it is. That's the one I was going to check on.
Yeah,
Oh,
That's-
the Rome Grange. Okay.
yeah, it's Mount Baker Highway. I mean, maybe, yeah, I don't know. It's another one.
Yeah.
So, Mark, is it Rome as in
The city.
R-O?
Yep.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
ROME.
Rome, like Italy. Okay.
Chief, I was thinking about the one at Smith and Hannigan. What do you know what the status of that building is or who runs it?
Right now it's a church. It's been converted
It's
to
just a church. Okay. Okay. Gotcha. Thank you.
All right. So Rome Grange, right? And then we have Dr. Hanson or Mark's contact for the lake house. And I think doing some kind of home event for those folks would be effective. And then the suburbanites we promote at Station 12, right?
Yep.
Okay. So the dates that we do these, right? They should be spaced out within 7 days, 7 working days, right?
All three of them together, you mean?
Correct.
Okay.
At different times and dates, right? So at the point we have approval on the letter, we should have dates and times for the meetings, obviously, right? So if we get the letter out in February, hopefully, the meetings, AJ, would take place late February, early March. Based on production schedules, are you thinking March, full stop?
I think it's gotta be March. I mean,
Gotta be March, okay.
we'll be very lucky to push this out by the end of February. Like, if we were to approve to go to press early next week, that's still only 2 weeks.
Okay, all right.
Short month.
So, all right. And March is fine because we have the board scheduled to consider the ballot resolution in June. But we want to make sure the angry meetings happen before the board meeting. Does that make sense?
Say that again.
So
mean?
I want to make sure that we get these, the first meetings, gentlemen, are going to be difficult, right? Assuming you get people there at all, they're going to be angry, right? And say, how did this happen? And what have you done? And, you know, so we definitely will have FAQs and everything like that. And we talk about doing a spokesperson training to deal with difficult folks, right? But we have to have the angry meetings before we have the Whatcom 4 board meeting that considers and passes or
Yes,
considered, okay, right?
certainly. Yes, I
I-
thought, yes.
I
Absolutely.
I don't want people with pitchforks and torches showing up to the board meeting, right? And you're still going to have angry people. They're still going to come and say, you know, we're upset. But I think at the point we spend time communicating about why this happened and also let folks know we have a new board of fire commissioners and a new fire chief who inherited these issues. And now we have to focus on solving them. I want that to happen ahead of your board meeting.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. All right. So then, AJ, I think timing and schedules, that's going to be involved, right? So we have to find out when the Rome Grange can host us, right? And Station 12, I don't know what your public meeting schedule is there. And then someone has to reach out to a lake home homeowner to offer to host that, right? So Mark, do you want to approach your contact, or should Bill approach Dr. Hansen? Do you have a preference?
Well, I've already talked to the resident that I have in my mind. So and he indicated, you know, willingness to participate, that's for sure. So I think once I forward his name and phone number, I would just leave that to whoever, you know, is going to follow up with them. I'm not going to get involved in, you know, scheduling on that kind of thing.
Okay. So once we know when the letter can go out, we are happy to coordinate, right, with your contact. The Rome Grange is not going to know us from Apple's, Chief. So a call from you to them.
I will handle that one.
Okay. And then,
the
Station 12.
Station 12 is there's one meeting that would be best if it was an evening meeting, or it needs to be a Saturday meeting. If need be. I didn't know if that was, you know.
Yeah.
But there's only one evening meeting at that schedule at that station per month. So
so ideally for 3 meetings, we'd have one at night, one on the weekend, and then AJ, you're thinking what? It's not like a typical fire station where we do like a lunch and learn at 12 noon, but an evening meeting, a weekend meeting. And
I really think if we're asking to go into someone's home and host, that, you know, we really could just make it what's convenient for them and what they think would appeal to their neighbors, which is probably going to be an evening.
Okay. All right. So Lake House TBD. Okay. Station 12, we were talking about a Saturday meeting. So the Grange, I guess we have to wait and hear their schedule, right?
yeah, I will reach out to them this afternoon, tomorrow, and figure out what their schedule looks like, if there's a fee involved or what. So
yeah.
And Liz, are you okay with like mid-March on, so that gives us time to?
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I think the letter should drop about 2 weeks, right? Is that what you're thinking, before the meetings take place?
That's what I'm hoping, but again, that would be like before March 1st, and we're looking at about 2 weeks out now. So I'm just mindful of time. We need to get some details to include in the letter, some edits. We're looking at midweek next week, having approval to print, best case scenario.
But we have to lock down those meeting dates and times.
Yeah, those dates are really going to dictate when the letter drops, and then we need to have at least 2 weeks to get that and printed and mailed.
Sure. So realistically, when Chief and I approach these folks, you're thinking mid-March. Is that what I'm hearing you say? Yeah,
I'm just saying I wouldn't ask the Rome Grange for like March 1st, because that would be
right. Okay.
A little too soon.
All right. So excuse me. So mid-March, right? So Chief, you go after your 2 people. Mark will send me contact details for my person. And we'll target around mid-March, okay? Starting March 14, that sounds reasonable. Is that cool, Chief?
Yep, sounds good.
Okay, brilliant. All right. All right, so we've talked about public meeting dates, news release. So Jessica could not be with us today, but the news release that we anticipate
Liz?
drafting. Yes, sir.
Before you move on, just to clarify what we're talking about, we were throwing around some names, and it sounds like some of them were maybe for where we would host meetings, and then a few of them like Port Commissioner Ken Bell. It sounded like we're also looking at names for a committee.
Correct.
So we're looking for both, right? We're looking for folks who might be able to help with the meeting, and then folks that can be part of a committee for advocating.
Yeah, well, so the pro committee, AJ knows this better than me, but at the point we're on the ballot, we have to advertise for a pro and con committee.
For the
Right,
voter
and-
pamphlet.
Correct. And what we find is there are great supporters of the fire district who come forward and say they want to be part of the pro committee. And Commissioner Bell is one of those folks who's super supportive of Whatcom 4. You know, the other property owners I mentioned are also supportive. Right? So at the point we advertise, I suspect they will respond. Right? And these folks can be part of the pro committee. They can also do independent campaign stuff, separate from everything we do. Right? And they also can host a meeting where factual information is provided. These meetings are not advocacy. These meetings are to educate people about the situation we're in. Okay. And so at the point we have the fire district participating in these meetings, they will be fact-based, but I can't control Commissioner Bell from going out and doorbelling or putting up a sign. Does that make sense, Commissioner?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. And they can cross, right? They can do cross purposes and it's legal. But at the point you, as our client for Whatcom 4, show up to educate folks based on the first letter we sent out, none of you are going to say vote yes, vote no, right? Your requirement is to be there and answer questions and let folks know, you know, this is how we got here. We're all new. Our fire chief is new. We inherited a difficult situation. And the most important thing is to save lives and property. And this is how we do it. This is what it costs. And this is what the benefits are going to be. Okay.
Okay. Very
Okay.
good.
And you will have supporting materials from us. You'll have a PowerPoint, you know, an FAQ card, and it's just a matter of going through the PowerPoint and sharing the facts, right? And the facts are that we're screwed, pardon my frankness, if we don't pass a fire levy lid lift, right? And that's a fact.
Yeah.
So, all right.
I was thinking about you know, to your point about putting entities on a committee. In your experience, is there any strategic advantage to having a nonprofit organization on a committee like that?
What do you mean?
Well, if we have a nonprofit that's located within our fire district, have you seen that as someone who can be a benefit to being on a committee?
So is it a nonprofit to support the fire district?
Right.
So they form and fund, do fundraisers for things like the Jaws of Life or other
Now,
things.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, this would be like an existing nonprofit organization that does work in Whatcom County. They're located in our district. So it's somebody that our residents are familiar with for the work they do in the county. Is there any benefit to having someone like that as part of a committee, or is we better off staying away from nonprofits?
No, it's at the point someone from a nonprofit wants to serve in an official capacity with this communications committee, that's fine. At the point someone from a nonprofit wants to participate in private campaign activities, that's fine. Right?
Yeah.
Like I mean, they can't I mean, at the point they're a nonprofit, they can't use their money, right, to support
Right.
or pass a ballot measure. But if it's a person who is respected, right, and well known by community members, I think that's great.
Okay,
Does that make sense?
it does.
Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome. All right. So still on news release, right? So we'll draft that once we have final content for the letter. And then AJ, you're talking about the release template that was created and the media list developed.
Yes, thanks. So we have created a release template, and I will send it out just so you can see. It's just basically a header that we've created for District 4. But I wanted to make sure we have the correct address because of the sort of unique relationship here. I have a lot of files that I'm looking through. What we have is the 4142 Britton Loop. Is that the address that should be?
Yes, that's
Okay.
the address of Station 12. Yeah.
Okay, and then I've used their website and then the direct phone number for you, Chief, for
Yep.
North Whatcom.
Now
Okay.
the mailing address is different for District 4. That's the physical address. We use a PO box for mailing.
We
Okay,
should add that.
yeah, I'll get that. And that's on the District 4 website.
Should be. Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't quite sure. So I'll use that as well and just work that in because we want to use that location. Okay, I will share this with you. And then the other piece is we've created a media list for the release when it's ready to go out. And what we want to do is add to it any community contacts that you have. And I know that's, there's not maybe a Rotary Club that meets exactly within your district, but there might be a church group that has a newsletter, the Grange, if they do any communication, just any of your community organizations that you belong to too. This is specifically, especially for the District 4 commissioners, any community contacts that you can share. We would really like to add those to the media list because not only can we send releases to them and keep them informed, and then they might be able to share information out to their membership as well. But also when we start to outreach later on about presentations and we can let them know that we can schedule and update their members. So if you can just kind of be thinking about that, I'll send the media list after this call to the group, and then just send me any contacts you'd like to have added in there. any questions on that.
Do you have North Lake Community Church on your list there for that?
No.
Yeah,
No.
I don't know who the contact would be, but you could certainly get that from their website, North Lake Community Church.
That's great. That's exactly what I'm looking for. Thank you. All right, we'll fill that contact detail in.
Is there a specific person, commissioner, that you could point us to? Because at the point we're sending something like info at, they ignore us or it goes to spam.
Yeah, I'll add that name and phone number when I send you that other name and phone number.
Thank you, Mark.
Wonderful. Okay, I will, again, I'll share that with this group, and then if you have any additions, would really appreciate that.
Yeah.
That brings us up to citizens. We've talked about this already through the conversation today, but just a reminder that, you know, having some community perspectives, we would really welcome on this group, so that they can review materials as they're available and participate in these meetings, again, as they're available. We, you know, don't want to ask for too much time, but, you know, a couple hours a month. And I know you're working on who those, and Mark, you're already going to send us a name. Thank you. Who those would be, but we want to just make sure we've got some representation from the different communities that you serve. Okay. Liz, are you talking about the website text?
No, we have that. We'll send draft text so folks know what's going on. Ideally, that will be up before the letter arrives in people's mailbox. Okay. So it's kind of going hand in hand. So at the point we have approved text for the letter, we'll abbreviate that and put it up on D4's website with a link, of course, from North Watkins website.
Great. And Chief, I know you're working on getting me admin access so that I can take that off the plate of whoever is currently updating the website, and would just be adding approved content to District 4's webpage.
Got it. Okay.
I know. You've got a list. It's been working through it. I really appreciate it.
And
Okay.
you thought your wife was bad, Chief, right?
It's all right.
Just
Nope.
like
How I work best. Well trained.
So when Liz was going through the communication plan, we talked about the social post for this month would be the release. And of course, we're going to have to utilize the North Whatcom Facebook page for that. And in branding that, I think we'd like to include a map that shows the boundaries. So we've got that map already, and include that with the release, just so people can, you know, familiarize themselves with the boundaries between the two districts.
yes.
And anything that we do that where we're pushing out info on D4, I'll apply what pressure I can to the local to share that as well on their Facebook page. So
Great.
there should be some spillover.
Yeah, and Chief, if you want to give me your president's name and number or email, I'd love to have a conversation with him or her.
Perfect. Will do.
Okay, thank you.
Liz, you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
That was social media.
New business, anything else going on that we should know of that you think could impact our outcome at the ballot box? All good?
I had a conversation with a woman this morning from a relatively new community radio station she had called to ask for information on an incident we responded to yesterday. It turns out they're they're kind of like public radio almost, sounds like.
Right.
And I mentioned both District 21 and District 4's woes, and she was very interested in covering that, and asked me for, she wants to sign up on all the newsletters, all the things. I'm actually
Right.
looking at my other screen, crafting an email to AJ right now with her contact info and name and all those good things.
For the media list. That's
Yep.
fantastic.
Yep.
Chief.
And they partner with Cascadia Daily News, which is actually did probably the best article on the failure of the District 21 levy last year.
Okay.
The other ones were like quick flybys, and the Cascadia, Commissioner Ansel backed me up on this, but they took time and really got the facts right. And look, this is what's going to happen. And so it seems like this, it's KMRE radio. So it's small right now. It's just broadcasting in Bellingham and Ferndale, but
Great.
apparently they got a approval to up their wattage to 200 watts. And so they should be broadcasting countywide by sometime this summer. But if they're hitting Bellingham, then they're hitting our target audience right now. So anyway, that was
Wonderful.
Chief, is this the one that Commissioner Crawford was listening to, or is this different?
I believe this is different.
So Liz, you asked about any other questions or concerns. I don't know what your messaging is or whatever, but I suspect that there will be some questions about, hey, we just passed a levy, the King County, or the King and Whatcom County EMS levy, and the confusion people have over, I just paid for EMS. Why are you asking me to pay again? Are we addressing that somehow? Because I just think people think, hey, I already voted for this.
Yes, we will, in our list of FAQs, right, for the website. And we certainly can include it in key messages, right? So yes.
Yeah. And of course the never ending point of my property value just doubled. How come that isn't enough money? And I don't know if there's any specific examples that are being used. I ran the numbers on my house last year, and when my property value went up 25%, my fee to the fire district was $14 for the year.
Yeah.
And I suspect what's going to happen this year, since property values went up so high, I'm actually expecting even, well, no more than 1%, obviously, but I'm waiting for my property statement to drop so I can see what that number actually is, because people just do not get it.
Yeah, and part of what we do is educate people about how we're funded, right? So our oldest client is Benton County Fire District 4. So they're much more conservative, right, than Whatcom 4 or even North Whatcom. And we have passed, I think, 4 tax increases and a bond for them. And part of the reason for that is we go out and talk to people about levy compression, right, and the 1% cap. So that's something that we have in place for Whatcom 4, right? We talk about being funded by contract costs, and so it's all kind of incorporated, granted in a condensed fashion, but into our messaging, Commissioner. And that's a great example, right? Only $14 more per year.
Yeah, I was shocked.
Yeah, but it's a great example. It'd be interesting to me, like Mark and Steve, what your rates are, right? And where's my other fire commissioner here, Tim, right? Looking at your tax statement and being able to put names and amounts together. And Commissioner Land, you had a question, your hands up very patiently.
Yeah, I wanted to get back to the media list, because I can remember doing some interviews, I don't know, a year or two, maybe 3 ago, with Linden and Blaine outlets. I'm not seeing those. Is that an oversight, or are we intentionally not including them?
I think on our first planning call, I thought they didn't cover the area, but if they do, yes, we have those contacts. We'll add those.
No, I just, yeah, I wasn't part of that first call. I mean, I don't know, but, I mean, if we've got the Seattle Times and Cairo, I don't know why we wouldn't have Linden and Blaine. I mean, sure, they're mostly North Whatcom, but, I don't know. It just seems that we want to include as many of our local folks as possible.
We can reach out and see what their reach is, right? So when you're talking about daily papers, their reach is a lot bigger than maybe some of the smaller ones. Commissioner Johnson, what's on your mind?
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to, I was gonna send AJ the contact info for the Linden Tribune, also Ferndale Record is also part of that same company that publishes up there. And I think they do definitely, their distribution gets into our district.
Okay,
So I'll send it to you. I was gonna shoot that off to you after the meeting here.
great.
I
Thank
agree
you.
with Mark. It'd be good to have them.
Okay. Anything else under new business? All right. So AJ does a list of items for follow-up for all of us. So if you thought you were getting nagged by your significant other, wait till you hear from her. And then we're looking at our next call for Thursday, March 2nd at 12 noon. Does that work for folks? Okay, same date.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm gonna be out of the area. I can't promise that I'll be available, but once it's on the calendar, I'll certainly try to make it if I can.
Sure, that's great. Thanks, Mark. Anyone else?
Good.
Okay. All right, well, thank you. Good call, right? If you need us between now and then, you certainly can reach out, and you know that we will inundate you with emails between now and then. Okay?
Good. Thank you.
Thanks,
Right, thank you
folks.
all.
Have a good day.
Thanks.
You.